Oh, Steve, you're so funny. Ah, that was wonderful. But it is great to be here again. It takes me back to my early days in my career when I got the star on Hollywood Boulevard. I think it was 1987, June 1987. And, you go through the ceremony and you enjoy it, of course. But really it has such an unbelievable impact that for the rest of your life and beyond that, this star will be on Hollywood Boulevard. So this is really big time. And there's, of course, no one that deserves it more than Chris. Chris has been such a fantastic journalist, and this is why I'm here today, because Chris made 2 phone calls to me in his life. One phone call was to do an interview with me, and the other one was to be here today and to be a presenter of him and to introduce him at this celebration of the Hollywood star. And he called me and he said to me, he says, Arnold, my biggest dream is to have my favorite action hero introduce me here today. He says, but I'm sorry to say that Stallone was not available. He says, so I can ask you, can you do it? And I said, of course, it's a piece of cake. But of course, when you do something like that, you right away do some research. And I did some research on him. He was born, same year I was born, 1947, on October 12th, correct? 1947, exactly. And also, at his birth, he wore a suit. Just so you know, because you never ever see him without a suit. That's the bottom line. But he's an extraordinary, like I said, extraordinary journalist. He has worked for Fox, he has worked for CBS, 2 wholly owned subsidiaries of the White House. So we're very proud of that. And the other thing I wanted to just say is that the reason why I know he's a fantastic journalist is because I know a lot about journalists. I've been interviewed, you can imagine, in my lifetime, by thousands and thousands of journalists. But not only that, but I also was married to a journalist. The only difference between Chris and Maria is that Chris never has taken half of my money. Anyway, it is great to be here today and to introduce Chris. I mean, he's a fantastic, just to show you, there was just recently a poll done of who are the most trustworthy journalists. And I was blown away by that, but it was not unusual. He ranked amongst the top in the last few decades, amongst the most trusted journalists. So along that group is just literally Walter Cronkite or his father or him. And of course, he deserves that recognition because he is a fantastic journalist. I love watching his show. And one day he did call me and he said, I would like to do an interview with you, Arnold. And I said to him, well, you know where you can find me. And he said, oh no, are you not talking about the gym? And I said, yes, Gold's Gym, that's where you can find me. And he came down to Gold's Gym, and for the first time ever, I saw him with a sweatsuit on. And not with a suit, but a sweatsuit. And he worked out with me, and it was just after a surgery that he had. What was that surgery? Some appendix surgery or something like that you had? There was some surgery, huh? Sex change. Yeah, exactly, sex change. It was surgery that he had. But then he worked out, and he did really a great job with the workout, and then he did part of the interview in his tracksuit, in his gym suit. I was really impressed with that, and the rest of the interview we then did again in his normal clothes with his suit and tie and all of that stuff. But anyway, he's fantastic. I love to support him. I love being here today and to introduce him. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chris Wallace.